And if you don't know, if you're familiar with us, you remember when we covered the secret apartment in the mall, right? This man lived in the mall. This is the man that lived in the mall. This is the man, the myth, the legend himself. But for those who don't know, give a background real quick. Who you are, what's your name, and also where you're from. For those who don't know, because we have the world watching.
All right. My name is Michael Townsend. I am an artist that lives here in Providence. I have been this year identified as just the person who lived in the mall.
Yeah.
So my full-time art career is rooted in drawing on buildings with tape. So I fall into sort of the category of street art and public art. And for the last 36 years, I have traveled nationally and internationally and just covered buildings with tape and making these huge installations. And that life has been one that has been very fulfilling because I can sort of fund all of my own artwork. And in this movie, you sort of see the results of all of that effort all collide into one piece.
100%.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. And born and raised in Providence?
No. I was born military family. So technically born in California for what it's worth.
Okay.
But I lived in 3 or 4 places in California, a couple places in Texas, Kansas City. My parents finally settled down in Massachusetts.
Nice.
So when I'm 18, I moved to Providence. And the nice thing about growing up in a military family is you kind of get to choose where you're from. And I fell in love with Providence. Immediately, I would say within the first 24 hours, oh, this is for me. I love this place.
Yeah.
So I've been here for a couple of decades now, and I love it. So I would proudly say I'm from Providence.
No, beautiful, very beautiful, man. Listen, and right now, for those who don't know, right, the movie is available now digitally and DVD as well.
That is not DVD.
Not DVD yet, just digitally?
Soon. So digitally, if you just want to stream this bad boy, you can rent it on all the populars. YouTube's, Google Play, Apple TV, Plex, Fandango. So it's available.
Everywhere.
Now that said, more importantly, still showing at the mall.
Still showing at the mall.
Still showing at the mall. So we just crossed our 6-month line, which is pretty hot.
Fire.
We've never had less than double digit in the audience. Also
round of applause for that. Round of applause for that. That's fire.
And this is with
fire.
That's just word of mouth. So this is with no marketing at all. It's been a sustained interest in it, which is wonderful. And it shows every Tuesday night, 7 p.m., and I attend every movie. So at the end of that movie, I'm there to sort of talk with the audience that's there, answer any questions, have a dialogue.
Wow.
And just hang out for a while.
Wow. No, yeah, you always sit at the couch, right? The replica of the actual couch that was in the actual mall. Again, now a replica, or is it the actual couch?
That's not the actual couch. That's
a replica.
That's a ghost couch.
It's a ghost couch.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's take it back a bit, right?
Yeah.
Your most notable pieces of work, when I watched the documentary, instantly, and I think it might be chronologically, you correct me if I'm wrong, but what I remember what stood out to me, which I didn't even know about it prior to this, but was a piece of work that you did where it was kind of under a bridge. Can you break down to the people what's the name of that piece of work and what that was?
Yeah. So that's a project called The Tunnel, and it's in a place that is a tunnel. So the tunnel is 250 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 6 feet high. It's a water drainage tunnel, and it's near the state capitol. And what it's designed to do is take any water that is overflow from the streets above it and safely bring it into the river. And when I was 18 years old, I was exploring Providence. I found this tunnel, and it had a gate on the front that you could lock.
Wow.
So I went and bought a lock and chain, locked it up, and declared it my own. I was like, now I have property in Providence. Now, in exchange for this property grab, I spent the next 10 years cleaning out the tunnel. So the tunnel had been draining water for decades, and it had several feet of just dirt that had accumulated, and I had a wheelbarrow and a shovel down there. Whenever I wanted to blow off some steam, I just go down there and just shovel into a wheelbarrow, bring it to the river, and dump it. And so if a city worker went down there and looked into the tunnel, they'd be like, oh, we're doing a good job down here. This thing is functioning perfectly, seems to be clean. They're not worried about the lock and chain because they can observe that it's doing its job. Now, I had the tunnel space for 10 years. And when I was 29, I had a bunch of things happen in my life that sort of declared a moment of moving on. I was like, okay, I'm going to take my life up until this point, and I'm going to put it in this tunnel.
Yeah.
So in the movie, you see footage of this space, and what you can see are these wooden, sort of like coffin-esque types objects hanging from the roof of this tunnel.
Insane.
Inside those coffin shapes is every item I owned from the day I was born to my 29th birthday. So
Wow.
that means if you take your entire life and you say, this is the piece is basically a big self-portraiture piece.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you can define yourself is you can say, I am the product of everything I own, every article of clothing, every like CD, every letter I've ever received, anything I've decided to keep as a physical object. And I was like, I'm going to take my entire life's belongings. I'm going to document each piece, put it in a bag and put it in that tunnel and leave it.
Wow.
And I was super literal. Like the only things not in that tunnel are my car, my computer at the time, and the negatives for photographs.
Wow.
But I rebooted my entire life. So I left all my physical objects behind. And then the sculpture pieces you see are self-portraits of me at that time. They're like the tropes of me. Like I look at you and this is like one of your tropes.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a guy who rants on a mic. And you probably have like 3 or 4 other tropes of you.
100%.
I don't know you personally, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm pretty you can conjure them up real quick.
Yeah.
And so I have my 5 or 6 tropes. And then the rest of the statues are all my like people who influenced my life at that time, like the most.
Yeah.
And the point of this was to sort of like leave it all behind.
Yeah.
I put a lock in, I showed it to a total of 13 people
Wow.
officially. Lock and chain and walked with no intention of ever going back. And what I discovered was that within a couple of years, people had figured out that there was this manhole cover in between the tracks of the Amtrak, the running train. And they had figured out that if they snuck on there and they popped the manhole cover, they could drop down into a short tunnel system that brought them into the back of this sculpture installation.
Wow.
And so there was this whole group of people, I'm going to call them tour guides, like people who knew about it and were excited about sharing it. And I've run into a couple of tour guides this year because of the movie, and all of them have the same estimate. They're all like easily over 10,000 people saw that tunnel space at its peak.
Wow.
And so for a secret tunnel installation that wasn't supposed to ever be trafficked, a lot of people got to experience it at its prime before it was destroyed.
So currently it's destroyed. It's not there no more.
Oh, it's destroyed. So if you look at the train station, right below the train station is that new condo complex that they built. And when they were building that in 2007, they sent a crew down. They discovered this artwork.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't have art under condos. That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they went down and they just pulled it all out into a trash
Yeah.
heap and threw it away.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's, in my opinion, it's definitely one of the most fascinating pieces of art I've ever seen in Rhode Island. When I saw this in this documentary, I'm like, this is something that needs to be spoken about more. Like, that was so crazy. I'm like, this is beautiful, very unique, and like something that if it was still around today, I would be going to see. And like it gives that
100%.
vibe of almost like when you were a kid and you would sneak around and find little secrets in the city or like things, or go somewhere you're not supposed to. Right. And it kind of gave that vibe. And I saw that. I'm like, what? That was here? That was in Providence? And this is the guy that did it? Like, that was crazy. So I'm glad that I got to live now through this documentary because people can relive it and see it.
Yeah. And had you found it at that time, you'd have no idea it was me.
Yeah.
Like it got attributed to a lot of other people.
Wow.
And I had no problem with that.
Yeah.
Like, and I think this is with all the artworks I've ever made, I've never signed a single thing.
Yeah.
I'm really like when people discover art and there's a layer of mystery in there.
Yeah. No, you come off very selfless. Like, you're very, very giving and very, you have a really great spirit. And going back to that idea of a good spirit, something when I watched a documentary that reminded me of that was when you started doing your tape art, right?
Yeah.
Literally on Instagram, your handle's tape art, right?
Yeah.
Talk to the people about what tape art is,
Sure.
right? And were you the inventor of it? Like, what's the history of tape art? Because it seems like we have the man behind it right here. We have the face of tape art right here in the studio. So talk to the people about the history of tape art, who invented it, and your actual story when it comes to it.
Yeah. So tape art is a product of Providence. So I say that, and I say that proudly. Like when I arrived here to go to the Rhode Island School of Design. That was sort of a fluke. I wasn't going to apply to any colleges at all. I had no real sense of the idea that a college degree was going to get me anywhere.
Yeah.
I was lucky to have an art teacher. My senior year of high school was like, whoa, you should apply to at least one school. And he miraculously, with 3 days before the deadline, like got my act together and pushed me through, and I got in over the finish line. So I arrived in Providence as a young art student, and the very first night I was in Providence, and this is important to note, is that in the late 80s, early 90s, Providence is in a serious transition. It is, if you talk to the old timers, they'll say it was a ghost town. If you went downtown on a Saturday night in the late 80s, early 90s, Providence downtown was empty, except for Haven Brothers. That was it. But there was nowhere to go. And what this did is it created an environment in the city where you could make art and experiment without getting like hassled for it. The very first night I was in Providence, myself and my brand new friends had an adventurous evening that ended at 4 a.m. and demanded the drawing in police silhouette outline style on the ground it was a life-size person holding a balloon. Very simple drawing. But the following morning, we were sort of like a buzz from a night of getting to know each other. And we saw people react to this drawing. We're like, oh, we should before the sun comes up, let's knock out a better drawing. And we did like life-size dinosaur, a lot of like police silhouette crime scenes.
Yeah.
We liked that narrative element, this idea that things happen while you're asleep, you get to see the evidence of it.
Yeah.
And then we never quit. Every 24 hours for the next couple of months, we are knocking out a new mural. And we got slowly better and faster. And at its heart, tape art has always been a collaborative street art form.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing in here is it's designed to be done by multitudes of people. Providence, ghost town, gives us the freedom to draw on buildings.
Yeah.
The people have figured out that it's going to be gone 24 hours. So if they see it as street art, they know. Like, it's like, I don't like this drawing. But they also know we're coming back to take it down. So no one's giving us any hard time. What that leads to is we get good. We get fast. We start drawing big. Our drawings are starting to get 1 story, 2 stories, 40 feet across, 100 feet across. And so by the time I'm 22, I'm getting calls from other cities. And they're saying, hey, come to our city, make a mural. We'll pay you to come out here. So that's exciting. You're not getting paid to do it, but my God, you're getting flown in planes with your friends to go to another city and draw on buildings.
Like, why not?
Why not? And I just fell in love with it. And then the thing that was the hook, the final hook for me was we started teaching tape art and discovered that the special qualities of it as a medium that really made you sort of like come alive weren't just for us, the artists. It was for everybody.
100%.
And that was, I've worked with over 60,000 students. So I
Wow.
have obsessively sought out opportunities to work in schools and community centers, psychiatric wards and hospitals and prisons and corporate centers. And I have never gotten enough of seeing different people from different backgrounds draw together. It's an endless thrill. And this medium, with the right directions, the right type of encouragement, you can give people a voice and they can make things for each other and for a public audience.
No, it's insane.
It's awesome.
It's insane. It's very beautiful. It's very unique, and you are a pioneer in this space. And once I saw it, I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is that concept. Like, I would never thought in my wildest dreams to like, oh, let's paint with tape. Let's create art with tape.
Yeah.
Right, and then let's do it repetitively. And like, I remember it was during the documentary, the stories of you, like how much money you would spend. Like, you would go broke just buying tape.
Yeah.
Just buying tape. Because it's not cheap tape. Blue tape, color tape in general is not cheap.
Not cheap.
It's
No.
not cheap.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And it's like that idea of you doing this. What would you say is to put it into context for the people watching? What's like the biggest piece that you've done with tape and the most amount of tape that you've used for a piece?
Big can be defined in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
There's like big by square footage.
Yeah.
So the first big project we were given an entire art museum, Worcester Art Museum, and that's a 52,000 square foot building. So
Wow.
it's a city block. We did all 4 sides. It took 5 weeks, 14 hours a day.
Wow.
That's an example of like
Damn.
just a big mural. Now in the movie, it highlights what is effectively our biggest artwork, which was when the World Trade Centers fell. We had in the years leading up to it had done quite a few memorial pieces. We had sort of discovered that the medium was really good at being a way to sort of address people in their moments of despair or sadness. And for us, I had a studio in Jersey City at the time with windows that looked out over the World Trade Center. So we were witness to that disaster, and the impulse was, as artists, as street artists, we need to go out there and do some sort of response. And the first idea was like, let's just draw everyone who died. Let's just do a simple silhouette of everyone who passed away.
Memorial.
Now that number though was super tricky because, on September 12th, 2001, they thought that number was like 7,000 people.
Yeah.
And then over the next couple of weeks, it just dropped 6,000, 5,000, 4,000. And we were, within a week or two, we're like, okay, they're not going to figure this out for a long time.
Yeah.
What are the 2 numbers we know? The firefighters, we know that.
Yeah.
And we know the airline passengers. So that's about 500 figures.
Mm-hmm.
And we drew a map of Manhattan that had these 4 hearts on it that start at the World Trade Center. And each map, the heart path is 7 miles of walking. And so we decided to draw one of these portraits on along that path. And it took us 5 years. So it's 500 locations in New York City, drawing without permission. And this is one of the nice things about this medium is like, if you decide you really want to do it, you can just get out there and knock it out.
Just do it.
But that path is an incredible way to experience a city because you're drawing straight through neighborhoods. And so that line is going to land on a federal building and a bank, and then a retail and a construction site, and then a small shop and like a construction zone. And so we had to make the decision every time we walked to a block, which side of the street we were going to draw on.
Yeah.
And it was just an excellent form of tourism, actually.
Yeah.
If you go to a city and you just draw a straight line across the city and be like, I'm walking this line. You're going to see things you would have never seen otherwise.
I would imagine. And I know that it had the issues with like weathering, right? Like the rain would take some stuff down, and some people might be like assholes and just rip it off the buildings and things like that. You know,
Yep.
we just got to deal with this. A part of it.
Yeah, that's part of it. And some neighborhoods were super easy. Some others were like really, they're yelling at you from 10 stories up. Murray Hill. I'll never forgive Murray Hill for the hard time they gave us. In that line, a random line fell on like a half a dozen fire stations.
Wow.
Which is outrageous.
So the divine.
Yeah, so the movie is sort of the first time that artwork has been kind of presented in any reasonable fashion.
Yeah.
When we did it, we had the goal of making a website, and that sounds super outdated right now, but remember, this is 2001 to 2006.
Yeah.
So in those 5 years, we spent some ungodly amount of time, like 10,000 plus hours working on a website.
Wow.
And then we finished it, and then within a year, social media took off, and our website became obsolete immediately.
God damn.
And within 3 years, the systems that were the backbone of our website, the databases and the QuickTime panoramas we made, also became obsolete.
Yeah.
We had to pull the plug on it within 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
My God.
5-year work, poofed.
The irony of that.
Yeah, it's outrageous. And this is not a good joke, but like, if Al Qaeda had just attacked 5 years later, it would have been much better for that artwork.
Oh yeah.
Because we would have been able to do it during an era of social media, and that would have allowed us to connect with the families in real time, or connect with the people of New York City in real time.
It would be so different.
It's unbelievable. Like the life you lead, you are in this nebulous web of connecting with people all the time through all these different mediums. You're just like, your brain is just exploding out and being heard by so many people.
That's insane.
And back then you were hyper siloed by technology.
Yeah.
And so you made digital islands and then just prayed that people would visit it.
Yeah.
And they did not visit our island.
You could have easily, if it was now, it could have been like a page, almost like an Instagram page, and you interview, a family member, let's say, of each person, like, at the actual piece, like, this is a piece of art taped on this wall right here in memoriam to
Right.
such and such fireman that died, etc., and then
Yep.
document it. Even if it's like 1 minute clips each person,
Yeah.
that would be huge on social media.
Huge.
That would be, and
Huge.
they'll live on forever in a proper fashion, like forever. People will watch that forever for the rest of their life. But I was very impressed seeing this. Like the idea again, it's like you are an artist that's very much not about yourself and much more about the people, right? And I love that you do that, because the idea of just actually wanting to just do that, and like no one commissioned it. It was just straight out of your pocket.
Straight out of
And,
pocket.
like those type of projects at that level are something that is deserving of a commission and like a proper payment, and like actually having
Right.
people sleep at hotels and pay them properly for the
Sure.
time.
So we can say that, and yes, and effectively that's true. We look at that artwork and we're like, this artwork should be supported, but then there's this huge asterisk. It's all illegal.
Yeah.
It's like it's unfundable. You can't get permission to draw on 500 buildings.
Yeah, that's a lot of permits.
A lot of permits, and you're just you can't even contact those people. The people who own those buildings.
Yeah, you're right.
You're not getting a hold of them. And this is what's interesting in the movie, is that the movie highlights and by default celebrates a ton of illegal artwork.
Yeah.
The tunnel space.
Yeah.
You can't get permission to make
Hell no.
that. The Secret Mall apartment, you can't get permission. The September 11th memorial, you can't get permission.
No.
And even the work that we were doing in the hospital was, to be frank with you, like an uphill battle the whole time, because it was so nebulous how we were doing it, because we were volunteers.
At Rhode Island Hospital, right?
Yeah, at the Hasbro
Children's Hospital.
Yeah, and so we were showing up and volunteering when we had time and energy, and sometimes that was like at least once a week, but sometimes 3 times a week. And you would just show up, sign in, march upstairs, talk to the head nurse, and be like, "All right, who needs tape art?" And they'd be like, "Okay, that room, that room, that room," and they would give you like a brief synopsis of what you're walking into, whether it's a cancer patient or an injury or the parents are there. And it was a wonderful time, because there was a period where it was a little bit of the Wild West. They just let us volunteer and do what we're good at. But at the second bureaucracy steps in there and they start asking questions like, wait, what day are you showing up? Who's showing up? How long are you going to be here?
Yeah.
You're going to draw a bear, but does the bear have claws? You start dealing with content moderation.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just fighting upstream. And we lasted for 14 years in a row there. We did over 1,000 drawings in patients' rooms.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a good fashion.
Yo.
Wow. And there's a lot of all types of patients, right? Like people, kids on their last breath, no?
That's the thing, is like that's what I like about the hospitals, because that's one of the great public spaces.
Yeah.
Because, cancer don't care. It's going after everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's in a car accident. Everyone's near drowning. Like the people of Providence from every walk of life are all in the same place.
Yeah.
And it was just a really good place to do tape art, because it's this beautiful microcosm of everybody.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine like that time. And that's my thing. Like, do you ever consider, before we dive into a little bit of the the elephant in the room, right? Everyone wants to know about the apartment and why'd you do it? But did you ever consider? Do you still consider maybe documenting and doing like another type of documentary, or maybe highlighting the other work that you've done from the tape bar and like the tunnel? Because I think those things are very deserving. Like when I was watching it, I'm like, this movie's dope, and the idea is very like, what the hell, this guy living in the mall, but then behind is like, oh, this is not like just a crazy guy. Like this is a man that's had a history of art, and there's an intention and a purpose, and there's so much dynamic to you that it was so unexpected, which made the documentary very dope. But then at the same time, like, damn, is there ever gonna be a Michael Townsend documentary itself, something that highlights you separately? Just do you ever think about doing something like that?
No. No, and it's that was one of the things that was sort of disarming about seeing the movie. It was like one of the first times I got to see a sort of like semi-objective view of my art landscape. We obviously are pretty good at documenting. We document all the time, but we just keep moving forward. We very rarely stop to reflect, and that's why we just started using Instagram for the first time, and it's hell on earth for us. It took me, and I'm not exaggerating, 3 years to psych myself up to start posting.
My God.
It's so far divorced from anything, my worldview, but how I see my relationship to my art, and especially in relationship to tape art. Like 2019, we were on the road for 7.5 months. We were traveling internationally. We're making big murals. We're working with all these people. It was romantically a tape art Instagram paradise. Did we post a single thing? No.
That's crazy.
Could we have crushed it on Instagram because people are like, oh my God, they're in Germany now. Oh my God, look at this abandoned military base that they like.
Yeah.
The things that people really want, we were doing it. But I grew up in an era of making art where, when you stand in front of a wall, half your time is spent talking to the public. Like I am already engaged with the people, but the people are directly in front of me. And I haven't been able to find that emotional space or intellectual space where I'm like, oh, should I be talking to the unseen audience out there?
Yeah.
We're working on it. We every time we post something, that's a minimum of a half hour to 2 or 3 hours of work.
My God.
We just do reels. So we like the idea that if we're gonna post, go for it. Like make content, make little good stuff. And occasionally we're like the mall stuff is cluttering our Instagram because we're doing a lot of shares, collaborations with folks. But that's it.
Oh yeah, it reminds me a lot, to be honest. I'll say myself, it reminds me a lot of the work that I've seen from, you have a very, especially the tape art, it's such a style that is very, like, in its own lane, and in a era like now, more modern era, and actually capturing it on social media properly, I feel like it's something that's capable of like being in the same conversations of what I've seen with like the Banksy artwork, artists of that level, have you ever gotten comparisons at all to like something of that level, especially with the idea of the illegal art, right? That's a lot of like the Banksy art is like the illegal art, right?
Yeah, there's we owe Banksy a debt of gratitude because he helped the general public understand what street art can be, which is awesome. Because street art is a dirty term to a lot of people, but Banksy, for whatever reason, people are like, okay, street art's all right. He's that guy's all right. There's another artist called Christo and Jean-Claude.
Okay.
It's a couple, and totally worth Googling. Google Christo is the word you want to look for. This dude and his partner did the most incredible public art projects where they would just fabric cover gigantic government buildings. They would create a curtain, but it goes across like an expanse of the Grand Canyon. They would create like islands, like floating islands in pink. Like these are monstrous projects that would take decades to plan, and they're my public art heroes.
Okay.
And so the best compliment I've ever heard is that I'm a poor man's Christo.
Okay.
I'm like, it's like I will take that any day. That's where I want to be.
Would you say, like, as far as like street art, like that type of art, would you rank them? Is that your top one if you have to, like, your favorite person of all time?
Man, I like a lot of the old graffiti writers. I love all street art, like all of it. You even just put like a sticker on a street lamp, I'm all in. But in the realm of like ratcheting it up to sort of like grand displays of public absurdity, Christo and Jean-Claude win the prize every time.
Yeah. Fire.
You got to check it out.
No, I'm gonna check it out, and they deserve the highlighting that you're giving them, so people make sure to check them out. And on top of that, right? So then now, you lived in the mall.
Yes.
A lot of people, the Providence, we covered it. It went viral. People are like, what the hell? People keep asking, and we have you here.
Yeah.
It's like, why the fuck would you want to live in the mall? Like, what happened?
What happened?
So let the people know what happened.
Okay. In letting you know what happened, I'm going to go over several of the beats that are in this movie.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Now that said, go see the movie. Like
100%.
Go
check out the movie.
Even if I give you all the details, the movie is an entirely different creature.
It's really good.
Now,
really good.
I lived in the mill buildings that sort of at the end of Atwell's Avenue, Eagle Square. These are these big mill buildings, 2 to 5 stories tall, that were all built in the late 1800s at the height of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
So The Industrial Revolution came and went, and these buildings have fallen into disrepair. Luckily, Providence was too poor to knock them down. So a lot of cities, when they got money they can flex, they're like, all right, we're going to start by knocking these buildings down.
Yeah.
So we got a clean slate so we can get a Best Buy in here. So these buildings became, in the 80s and 90s, owned by a lot of slum landlords. And this is good news for the artists because the slum landlords don't want to put money into them, but they want to make money from them. And the only people who put up with that nonsense are the artists. So that means you are going to move into a space where the roof may leak. There is no heat in the wintertime. There's nothing to cool you in the summertime. I lived in a space called Fort Thunder. We had access to about 10,000 square feet.
Wow.
An enclave of like 10 to 13 artists, and we all paid $150 a month.
Damn.
So my rent in Providence in the late 90s was $150.
Damn.
Now,
I ain't seeing that no more.
yeah, exactly. And this is important because that neighborhood was home, and home is the important word here, to 300 to 500 artists. So they're living in a collection of mill buildings. Their rent runs from $150 to maybe, let's say 400 tops. So you have artists coming in from all over the place. Like nationally, they're coming to this neighborhood because they know if they come here, they can get a cheap mill space to, and this is the important part, live and work. Not just live, not just work, both of them together. Now, this is also an area where there's a lot of collaborative living, communal living. And that's something you don't see a lot of. Like when the city thinks about trying to create affordable spaces, or spaces specifically for artists, if they go down that route, they never talk about the collaborative models. Like, so it's cheaper for people to live together.
Yeah.
And if you got a huge space, like even like 5,000 to 7,000 square feet, you can
split that. Yeah.
you can split it with a whole gang of people.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
at its peak, in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was one of the largest epicenters of artists in New England and one of the most well-known ones nationally. At the heart of it was a little place called Fort Thunder. And Fort Thunder, to this day, still has cachet. Like people, when you hear the word Fort Thunder, it sums up all these imageries of like live bands and wild costumes and like living on the edge. And that building that Fort Thunder was in was put in the crosshairs by a developer who wanted to knock it down to make way for a parking lot for another strip mall. The mall opened August of 1999. One of the largest development projects in Rhode Island's history. One of the largest tax breaks in Rhode Island's history. And what it did is it sent a signal to developers that Providence open for business. And the next big project was only a mile away. At this, looking at Fort Thunder and the buildings around it, it was 13 acres of historic mill buildings. And the developer came in and they're like, you know what? I think we can just knock these buildings down. Let's knock them all down. And then we're going to build a parking lot for 800 cars. And we're going to fill it with, around the edges with a strip mall, but there'll be no windows facing to the outside street.
Wow.
The only way to enjoy it would be to enter into the parking lot. Very little about the idea of pedestrian access. It was very car-centric. And they had the gall to go into a city hall meeting and present this to a group of concerned citizens with absolute optimism that they were going to cheer it on. And they got run ragged. And my God, the amount of hostility and tension, and they ended up having to fight so many different people for 2 years to make this project happen. Now, in that 2 years, I'm in the fight. I'm trying to save historic mill buildings.
Yeah.
This is me in my early 30s. So the only thing I understand is I got to save these mill buildings because it's they're historically significant. If I save that, then I'm saving the history of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm in my 50s now. What I know now is that you don't just fight for the mill buildings. You got to fight for what's inside the mill buildings. You got to say, hey, we're going to save these buildings, and we need to make sure that there's affordable housing in here. We need to make sure that there's mixed use in here. We make sure that it's a sustainable business model, not a profit-driven business model. Two different things. Sustainable business model, everyone's still getting paid.
Yeah.
The building is still in great shape. You're just not, your number one focus isn't just making as much money as possible.
Yeah.
And What we did is we fought, we saved a bunch of mill buildings, and that was not part of their plan. The developers had planned to knock them down. The great irony, by saving those buildings, they're like, well, I guess we'll put some condos in here. That became the most successful part of their project.
Wow.
Was us saving their mill buildings. And that set off a gentrification spark in our neighborhood. And so in less than 25 years, I went from $155 in rent to a condo space 100 feet from that selling for close to $800,000.
Whew.
And this happened in 25 years.
My God.
And it's a great like temperature test for what's happening in Providence.
Yeah.
And you know, Rhode Island, obviously this is a national conversation, but Providence was declared the hottest housing market at the beginning of this year. And I heard that and I felt dread. I was like, this sucks. There will be people who profit from that, and you know, God bless them. Great.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out. But for the majority of people, this is bad news because that means that startups are not going to get a leg up. Artists, good luck. Young families, good luck. People coming to Providence, like people we need, innovators, creatives, like just people who just want to like, you know, start a restaurant.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of resources. Like, cheap rent was the thing that made those dreams possible.
Yeah.
And so we're replacing those people.
Displacement happening.
It's bad news, man. I think you don't mind me ranting here, do you?
No, you're good. You're good.
So like the pandemic, I think, is part of what broke Providence. I've been thinking on this because during the pandemic, our friends from Boston were like, wait, I don't have to work from, I don't have to go in?
Yeah.
And I'm paying $3,000 in rent?
Yep.
Screw this. I'm going to Providence.
Go to Providence. Let's go to Providence.
And so it happened in my neighborhood, like all those mill buildings that got, you know, my gentrification front row seat. I would say over half of them, possibly more, Bostonians. You know, and I'm not
I run into people all the time that be like, I get my news from you. Oh my God. And then they're like, oh, I just moved here from Boston. I'm like, that's always their second sentence. I'm like, oh my God. Like, what the hell's happening here?
Right. And they're, you know, we can blame Boston. Like, if you want to do a good look for property in Boston, just for kicks, like go on to any realtor site, look at Boston, type in $500,000 as the price point for for your house.
Yeah.
You will see in the entirety of Boston and its boroughs, maybe 2 houses that you could buy for $500,000. Crazy.
It's crazy.
I'm not talking about like downtown Boston. We're talking about like the entire region.
It's fucking crazy.
So here we are in Providence. There are also some surveys at the end of spring that had labeled Providence as one of the safest cities in America.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no. Also bad news. So I thought myself in a Q&A. It slipped out. I was ranting, and I don't remember what the question was, but I shared that detail that this is one of the safest, you know, cities in America. And I was like, look, I think it's important for someone in this audience to make this city unsafe. Like, I don't know what it is, but what I'm going to encourage you, it has to be really absurd. Like, an example would be like, we need to be like moving a shark from a shark tank from one aquarium to another. But we're going to pass through the east side of Providence.
Yeah.
And maybe it eats one person. You know, like
on the way there.
On the way, the tank breaks it. It grabs
shit up real quick.
Grabs a jogger. You know.
Yeah.
And this becomes national news.
Yeah.
You know that Providence has a shark problem, and maybe that will knock us down
the list.
Just knock us down the list a little bit, you know, just for the sake of making housing more affordable. Like,
no, it's
I
true.
think we need to,
because the irony of the good PR is like it doesn't help us because it adds to displacement and it adds to more people coming in here and the rising of rent, and then people are like, oh my God, yeah, I'll live here.
Right. And that's the thing is like we're not being protective in the sense that we don't want people to come. Like we want everyone to come. We want the cool people in Providence, but there has to be some sort of safety mechanism for, you know, Providence is nationally one of the highest leaps of rent nationally. This is outrageous. And this is, you know, it's only when the kinks in the system are exposed that we become aware that there are no guardrails, that Providence was basically living on like just good vibes, effectively, where all the landlords are like, well, I guess I'm making enough money.
Yeah.
But as soon as everyone goes for the gold rush, they're like, well, that guy's doing it. And there's nobody at City Hall being like, yo, guys, dial it down.
Yeah.
You can't
There's no
raise rent 15% every year.
Yeah.
There's no limitations. There's like no
Right.
yeah.
So now you have to bring in regulations.
Yep, regulations, that's the term.
And as soon as that term starts throwing around, everyone gets pissy real fast.
Yeah.
Everybody gets pissy about it. But going back to those mill spaces and these artists living in these large enclaves, unregulated. So we can, most people would say, oh, but that's not safe. You're cruising for a major fire, a major death, and all that stuff. And that's, and technically that is true. These buildings are corpses of their former glory.
Mm-hmm.
There may not be fire
Escapes and stuff.
escape systems, all that stuff. But my gosh, I'd exchange my safety for the safety of knowing that economically I'm not being crushed.
Yeah.
I just would.
Yeah.
So that's my responsibility.
Yeah, no, I can see that, especially because when the rate it's gotten to now, where it's like, it's just unaffordable right now.
So
People rather just stay in their houses that they raise the rent in than actually move out, because if you move out, if you find some place, it's only gonna be even higher. So it's like they're forced to pay that rent increase that the landlord is already implementing to them. I see that story all the time.
Right. There was a book written in the last year that was focused specifically on one of the unique qualities of the great American experience. One of the definitions of being American is that you could move.
Mm-hmm.
And that's weird to people in like other countries. The fact that they would come here and be like, wait, how many times have you moved? That you'd be willing to just move across country for a job.
Yeah.
You'd be willing to move somewhere for fun. You'd be
Yeah.
like, I wonder what Denver's like.
Let me check it out.
I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna move to Denver for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a uniquely American idea. And this is one of the great tragedies in the last couple of years, is that this thing that defines us as a country, we're losing it.
Yeah.
This is to your point. You get stuck in your house.
Yeah.
And I think that's just not healthy for everybody.
No.
You gotta have the options.
No. It's gotten crazy, man. And it's full circle, like how, there's issues with this here now, and then, going back to that time, this was like, one of the factors, the idea of, where people lived, and that issue, actually fueling the actual art piece, because it was an art piece. You actually going to live into the mall. So tell the people transitioning from the mills, and like, what was that first step of like that eureka moment? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. So one of my favorite places I've ever lived, Fort Thunder, turned into a pile of rubble. In the movie, you see that pile of rubble.
Yeah.
For me, eagle-eyed observer, looking at the pile of rubble, my door to my room is in the middle of it. I can see it. So if you do see the movie, you see the pile of rubble, you'll see this one door covered in colored tape. Obviously, my door.
Symbolizing your door. Yeah.
Now, I spent 2 years attending city hall meetings, attending planning meetings, super boring stuff. Protest, super boring.
Yeah.
And this is a period of time when I'm beginning to internalize that the developers have a mantra in their mind. It's a worldview. This idea that if you find an underdeveloped space, you have a responsibility to develop it. And this is just how they see the city. And we, in 2003, decided, after 2 years of fighting the city and after losing Fort Thunder, we're like, we got to get to know this mall better. We got to just not just be antagonistic about it because it happened to be the largest domino in a series of dominoes that knocked over our building.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go live in it for 1 week. So we decided to do a week in the mall. So a week in the mall is 4 of us. Each one could vote in a thing that you could bring with you. Everybody gets $20. And then I voted in flashlight. It's like, we're gonna need a flashlight. Adriana voted in, it was those heat crinkle blankets some people keep in their cars in the glove compartment.
Yeah.
That was her thing. we need to have like this thing because we don't know where we're going to sleep.
Yeah.
And then Jay voted in a sketchbook. I was like, good call on that. And Andrew voted in face cloth. I was like, I'm still not sure about that decision, but I was like, I think it was a wasted vote. But anyway, so we went to go spend a week in the mall, and we had a glorious first day, and it ended with the big question: where are you going to sleep? And I had observed the construction of this mall. It was on my jogging path. I had taken up the jaunt.
Yeah.
So I used to run down Harris Avenue. And I love architecture. Like I love watching buildings get made, and saw a space that didn't make a lot of sense. It was being used for construction materials, but it was several stories off the ground. It was not in the parking garage. It wasn't. It was like behind the stores. It was above storage. It just made a mental note. I was like, this is odd, that space. And then they built the skin of the mall, of the cinder block, and in doing that, they revealed other weird spaces. And I held on to that for 4 years. And when I went to try to answer the question, where are we sleeping tonight? I was like, there's this anomaly in the architecture I think we can check out.
Yeah.
And sure enough, squeezed our way into it. Luckily, I had a flashlight. And we found this 750 square foot space that was off the radar. This is a big mall. Let's recap here. We had 11 stories and over 1.3 million square feet. So it is inevitable that space is just dirty with weird architectural nothingness. And this happened to be one of those spaces. And so we found it. We went to Bed Bath & Beyond and bought a pillow. And with the $20, we had some change left over. And then we slept in it. We're like, okay, we're gonna sleep here. Woke up in the morning, found Jay and Andrew slept in a column. Like they slept in a column in the parking garage. Brutal circumstances. So we met. We're like, hey, you should come see the space we found because it's like really big. It's excellent. So we hung out in the mall for a couple of days. And we realized, like, we have a bigger mission here. Like, this is, again, back to this idea of the developer's mentality. We have found an underdeveloped space. Mm-hmm. So what is our responsibility? To develop it. And we basically became the bastard children of everything we had learned in the previous 2 years of City Hall meetings. And that was it. Once we made that decision, we're like, there's no timeline on this, but we're doing it.
So how many of you in total was it again that lived in the mall?
Yeah, so that space, ultimately, there was 8 artists working on it. And those 8 artists were the same people working on the September 11th memorial. Wow. So we've been working on it for the September 11th memorial for 2 years before we even started the mall apartment. Wow. And what's important about that is that means that for 2 years, this group of 8 artists were regularly returning to New York City to illegally draw on buildings and document it. Yeah. Which turns us into creatures who are very comfortable with sort of like living in that gray area where we're like, this is a good art idea. We know it's not legal, but we feel pretty righteous about it, so we're going to do it. Yeah. And more than that, we're going to take pictures of ourselves doing it. And so when we documented this stuff for the mall, we never documented with any intention it would be seen by anybody. You know, this... As public artists, we share our work, like deeply share it. As in, we stand on the street and you watch us make art and you talk to us while we make our art. Yeah. So there's this whole other category of work where we don't share it. We're just like, no. Yeah. We keep the cards super close and we're like, this is for us to process our own complex emotional whatever's we're doing. So the Tunnel Project falls in that category. Yeah. Wasn't designed to be shared. The Secret Mall Project falls in that category. This was us processing the loss of our homes, processing our relationship to the city. Wow. Processing what it means to have a mall come in and define your city. Like the mall defined our city, like literally. Like you drive on 95 and you look to the east, what do you see? The mall. Just mall. Like we have one of the most beautiful state capitals in all of America. Beautiful state capital. I remember the sight lines for it. Gone. You know, our skyline, not so great. But still, you can't see it anymore,
Yeah.
casually.
Yeah.
So this mall comes in and defines us and has the largest invitation. It's like, hey, we have more shopping than you could possibly deal with, and we're here to help you lead a better life. Everything you want is here.
Yeah.
And the malls sort of act as this outrageous hybrid of public and private space. Everyone views them as public spaces. Like, hey, I'll meet you at the mall at 7:00 and we'll hang out. But they're not public spaces. Technically, if you're just hanging out in the mall, they can kick you out.
Yeah.
There are a lot of malls that are very explicit about that. If you read, every time you go into any mall, find the mall rules, because the mall rules are very interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them will literally say, if you are not shopping, you are trespassing. That's the aggressive version of it. But there's variations of that in every mall.
Yeah.
And included in that are things like you can't document. Some malls will explicitly say you can't take photographs inside the mall.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Can't be in groups. I know some malls that can be in certain groups, etc.
Groups. You can't be in. You can't attend. You can't go to a mall if you're under a certain age by yourself. You know, and some malls will put those rules up so that they have the right to enforce them, but they'll rarely enforce them in some cases. But they want to send the signal that the mall is safe to the majority of the patrons. So they know there's not roving packs of 16-year-olds doing socializing and enjoying themselves.
So what were the years that you lived in the mall?
Yeah, so we have control of that space from 2003 to 2007. So that's a 4-year run where we are off of the mall's radar, and we are actively pursuing turning it into a domestic living space. So that means you say, okay, what are the things that makes a home? And the answer to what is the single piece of furniture that starts off that party, it's a couch.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bed, it's not a kitchen table, it's the couch.
Yeah.
Because that couch is, demands to be social. You can have many people on the couch. You can sleep on your couch. It can be your bed. It can be like,
we're on a couch right now.
You're on a couch right now. Couches, couches are the best. So that was the decision that the very first thing to be moved in would be the couch.
Yeah.
Sectional. And we once we got that up there, we're like, oh, this is it. We are off to the races. And for the next couple of years, we just continue to build it out. And so what you see in the movie is a stage of the build out. So our documentation sort of peaks in the 2004, 2005 era. There's some action that happens afterwards, but the movie catches like the good heart of the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved it, man. The stuff that it showed, I'm like, this is insane. And tell the people, obviously go watch the movie, but then what was that moment of, okay, we did all this 4 years. What was that moment when you finally got caught and got kicked out? Bring us to that day.
Yeah, it's inevitable. Like we were able to survive as long as we did because we're incredibly patient. We're astute. Maybe that's the word looking for. Like we're aware of where people are. What time we can move freely in and out.
Yeah.
We had studied the landscape. We understood where our paths should be. We had declared secrecy. So that group of 8 people had said, you can't show this to anybody else. It's just the 8 of us. Don't share it. Now, to put that in perspective, I was arrested in 2007 for this. And that was a couple months after the iPhone came out. So that helps put us in the sort of the technological timeline. Like,
wow,
the entire time we're doing this project, there is no iPhone. There is no tool where you can easily document and share. The urge isn't there, and it's a obsessive urge now. We're like, oh, I should, look at this crazy frog. I got to share this frog.
Share the world.
Like, you got to share it.
Press a button.
So we knew we would get caught eventually. It was just a matter of when. The getting caught happened in 2 stages. Colin's one of the artists. We in 2007 went to space and we saw the door had been broken in. We're like, oh boy, have we been burglared? So, and we went in, and sure enough, stuff was gone.
Yeah.
We're like, Dad, the guy got the PlayStation. Damn it, they got the PlayStation, but they left the TV. It's like, oh, that's a little weird. But they took our photo albums. It's like, that's personal. But they left all the china and all the like silverware. It's like, okay, like who does like what crime is this? And we're like, all right, that means that somebody knows we're here.
Yeah.
So we got
the first red flag.
Yeah, we're like, this is, and we can't pretend, we can't gloss it over. We can't like fix the door. We have to let time decide whether the coast is clear or not. And so we just start going at night. We're like, we're not hanging out during the day. We only go at night. And what we will come to discover is that security is patrolling it during the day. And so we are just missing each other. Like, so this goes on for months.
Wow.
And eventually I'm the one who screws up. As I'd said, this group of 8 had taken an oath to not show it to anybody else. And I'm the jackass who's like, had an art, I'm going to say friend, I don't even know them for a couple of days, who was visiting from another country, from Hong Kong. She had come to Providence to sort of like enjoy the art of Providence, because Providence is pretty cool. I was driving her to the bus station on a Wednesday morning. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring this person to the Secret Mall apartment because they're going back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
How can this possibly blow back on me? Now, remember, this is 2007, so like, it's not like she's gonna get to the bus station and post her Instagram. I just saw the craziest thing.
Yeah.
I assume the secret will live and die with her.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we run into a patrol, or they run into us. It's a total fluke. We just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So they walked in while you were already in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was the possibility of escape. I could have technically made it out. But in that moment, I was like, you know what? We had a really good run here. I think
just let it happen.
I think there's like this, I can sort of hear this weird, like old British man in my voice being like, good game, sir. Like this, we'd
checkmate.
Checkmate, exactly.
Checkmate.
Like you have vanquished us.
Yeah.
Take us away. So we got arrested.
So what was the punishment at the time?
So the punishment at the time was getting yelled at by the head of security. I didn't feel good. So the first hint that things were going to be okay was I got in the back of a police car, handcuffed, and the police officer turned around and he's like, good job in there. I was like, what is happening?
And the cop himself was impressed.
I was like, how is this the reaction?
That's crazy.
And by the time I got to the police station, so what happened apparently is that the cops and the mall security at that time were beefing with each other. So they're like, I think they were kind of psyched that there was like this layer of humiliation that just happened. So by the time I got to the police station, apparently everyone's heard about it. So I was greeted with open arms, but everybody wanted to know the story.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fascinating. It took them over a half an hour to fingerprint me.
Wow.
Because they just kept asking me questions like between prints. They'd be like, here's like index finger, and they're like, but how did you do this? I'm like, all right, well, it's like, they're like, stay on task. So they hold you overnight. That's why you need to, I tell my people on Q&As, like, you do your crimes, do them at night. Don't do it in the morning, because then you got to stay all day and all night. The next day. So do them at night, preferably like late at night, like 2, 3 in the morning, prime time.
Wake up.
Prime. So they bring you to the courthouse the next day, and I was handcuffed to another dude named Michael. Traffic crimes. He did not fare as well as I did.
Damn.
The judge listened to the lawyer from the mall who made the critical error of describing in as much glorious detail as they could every part of the apartment. 4-piece sexual couch, decorations on the walls, rugs, chests of drawers of clothes. And the more they described it, the more this judge realized that we're way outside of prank territory. And this judge eventually said, the exact quote was like, I don't know what this is, but it's not criminal. And I'm
Wow.
like, yeah. And I think this is, I want to say, like, this is a shout out to Providence. Like, I think if this thing had unfolded in a New York or Chicago, I think that they would have held my like feet to the fire more.
Oh, they probably make an example out of you, maybe.
Right. And that was the lawyer's responsibility, was to try to make an example of me.
Yeah.
But Providence has been, and again, this is 2007. Buddy Cianci had a decent run here in the city, keeping it super weird,
Yeah.
but especially very open for artists.
Yeah.
And I think that there was that legacy was still very much intact. And so I got misdemeanor trespassing,
Wow.
$60 fine, and then they gave me a nice lady I had to talk to for 6 months. So that was it. And I like that he was able to sort of understand that there was intention behind what we were doing, even if he didn't understand why. And I didn't say a word in court. I literally stood there silent the entire time. I never said a word.
Wow.
That's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, insane.
That's insane. Now, if
Insane.
someone would have tried that today, oof.
Oh my God, they'll drag you.
Oh man, you're out of there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even start. You wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you might be able to start, but like to actually maybe spend the night, I feel like at this point, I feel like they have patrol all the time there now. Like it's like they got cameras. They probably wasn't as much cameras as they do now, right?
No, I think, and that's twofold. Like, so let's say that the mall has more cameras, but more
Yeah.
importantly, collectively, we have more cameras.
Yeah.
I think the project would have been undermined by just someone, just a regular person,
Yeah.
just like a mall visitor,
Yeah.
would have been documented like, oh, who are these fools with cinder blocks in the parking garage?
Take some photos.
Exactly, post it for clout.
Yeah.
And I think the project would have not have been possible if we
I don't
started, for example, 2025 to 2029.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And there's something part of me that thinks that's really kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons the movie's so popular, is it points to this time where you could have a secret. Like there's actually magic in that.
Yeah.
And I think people yearn for that. I think it backfires a little bit, because I think that yearning for secrecy turns into things like, it gets commodified as like the VIP lounge.
Yeah.
Exclusivity, right. Or exclusivity and also scarcity.
Yeah.
Like where companies are like, okay, we only got 100 shirts.
Yeah.
Or
Limited edition.
There's only so many Labubas. There's only so many Supreme things.
Yeah.
And so they're tapping into the instinct that people have for wanting something cool to experience, but they're just profiting from it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like the opposite, the exact opposite.
It's the opposite. And for those, I saw a lot of questions that people would ask in the comments, especially when we posted it, right?
Yeah.
Were there any not secrets, but were there any rules to living inside of this apartment that you guys built inside of the mall? Like, were people not allowed to have sex in it? Like, were people not allowed to like bring like a specific smelly food? Like, what were some of the rules? Break it down.
Yeah. So that space, that group of people are really interesting, because they're all hyper dedicated artists.
Yeah.
And so, and this is going to sound super lame. I just think that's a good question, but I'll answer something again. There's maybe a lame factor on us because we're not party people. We're just workers.
Yeah.
Our party is like just grinding on Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for 9 hours in a row.
Hell yeah.
Like that's where that's when we're like, just relaxing.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any sort of culture of, people see it, they're like, oh yeah, this is nice. You got a place where you can like relax.
Yeah.
And then what I like in the movie is that the security guards who found the space didn't tell anyone for a couple of weeks, and they had it.
They were just playing video games and stuff.
Just smoking, drinking, eating like this. They were living the life that I think most people assumed we would live.
Yeah.
But for us, it was a constant sort of like focused meditation on being present in the mall.
Yeah.
Like we were part of the artwork, and our ultimate journey in the mall was, had we not been arrested, was to live in the mall for an entire year without leaving the building.
Yeah.
And at that point, the idea of rules would start to kick in more because you are there.
Oh yeah.
And I think at that point you would start to think about more like how you live with a roommate, like what kind of food are we cooking here? so.
Yeah, so no crazy raves in the
crazy
secret mall
raves.
party.
Right.
No random like fucking orgy or something crazy, like a random like moment.
We're also like living under a blanket of paranoia the whole time.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'd be sweating bullets. If it was
Yeah,
me.
like our television was, we knew exactly the volume level that it should be at where you couldn't hear it anywhere else. So that mentality doesn't lend itself to really cutting loose.
Yeah.
We're having a good time, but it's measured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been dying to ask you this question because of the moment that we're currently living in, right?
Yeah.
The irony, you lived in the mall as an art project for 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Providence Place Mall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mall is being sold, right? They're going to auction it off, right? And you have a movie right now that's actually being shown, a documentary, Secret Mall Apartment, about you living in the mall.
Yeah.
But then the movie theater is, as of right now, leaving, or they're trying to replace it with another movie company.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your reaction to this, right? The mall might not be the mall. We got to see what happens.
Yeah.
And the movie theater, as of January 31st, is gone. Right, so what's your like the timing of this movie happening and this fucking news happening? I'm like, yo, what is his opinion on it? I've been dying to hear it.
Okay, so the mall, when we first moved in, we were there for 2 years when the mall was bought. So the mall exchange has had many owners, and it's important to contextualize. And each owner takes it, and through their bold leadership, make the bankruptcy even
worse,
more prominent. Like they just dig a bigger hole.
Yeah.
So we were in there when General Growth Properties bought it, and which I always thought was really funny because they bought us. Like we were part of the purchase. General Growth Properties was in Chicago. That's where their headquarters is. They have 250 malls nationally. Also, that's important to understand is that this mall isn't like our hometown mall. It's part of a franchise of malls owned by somebody in another city.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why when this story broke in 2007 and becomes international news, Providence loves this story. The mall manager at that time was all in to embrace it. I had a proposal on his desk within like 3 days. It's like, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
We take everything from the apartment. We bring it down. We put it in one of your abandoned stores. And then we're going to make mannequins that have of us. I know how to make. I can make bodies. And we'll just have a sign out front that's like Michael Townsend and Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
Standing in front of his album. We can do we can have like earrings by Claire's.
It's genius.
And he's like, I would love to do it, but the boys in Chicago are like, shut it down. And instead they just stick lawyers on me for several months. So they did the opposite.
Wow.
Now, I share all those details because General Growth Properties is gone. I think we're 2 more owners past General Growth Properties. Currently, the mall is under receivership. That means that there's a receivership team. This is a group of smart lawyer business type folks who are saying, okay, we got a mall that's $250+ million in the hole.
Yeah.
We didn't create the problem, but our job is to help guide them out of this.
Yeah.
And this creates the space for this movie being shown at the mall because they don't have egos about it. So if they weren't around, if it was just a regular mall owner, they'd be like, no, we're not showing that movie. It shows our mall in a bad light.
Yeah, I know, right?
But the receivership team's like, wait a second, if we show this movie,
people come to the mall.
Maybe some goodwill.
Yeah.
Maybe a good story. Maybe a good so they're the ones who gave it the green light. Great. So this is the same team that's looking to sell the mall. So they're kind of trying to gussy it up or like make everything. Everything's not breaking in the right direction for the mall. They are trying. As you said, the Showcase Cinemas lease runs out at the end of January. It's a 25-year run for them.
Crazy.
And the malls now has responsibility to be super aggressive to find a replacement before January.
Yeah.
So there's no pause. So I don't know. We're gonna get somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, an AMC, a
Hopefully.
Regal.
Hopefully.
We have to have somebody. Oh, you read about the parking?
What's happening with the parking?
The
Some change happening to the parking?
Yeah, the city. If I understand it, we can fact check it if we have to. The city put a 7% tax on parking.
Mm.
And who's got the largest parking garage?
The mall.
The mall.
The mall. So now,
So that would be affected directly.
Now they got to deal with that too. I mean, it's. I'm not trying to say we have to have sympathy for the mall, but it's really hard to watch a Goliath of an institution just
like die
struggle
off.
so much.
It's crazy.
And it's so critical that they don't die off.
Yeah.
Because if that mall fails, a big part of Providence fails. Like economically, Providence paid for that mall to happen. We continue to give it huge tax breaks. We just need some sort of leadership there that's going to be willing to take the bold swings and moves to change the model of what the mall is. Because obviously the mall doesn't work as a strictly retail and commercial model.
No.
They're going to have to do something, whether that is housing, whether that is bringing in healthcare, whether it's bringing in adopting nonprofits. So you have different audiences. I keep thinking there's got to be like some sort of like basketball league they could start there. You know,
That's not a bad idea.
Where the youth can come and like have something like super awesome.
Yeah.
Where their memories are being made at the mall, winning a championship at the mall, learning how to sew at the mall.
No, I loved recently when they were doing the promotion for the movie and they had like the tape art all over the mall.
Yeah, that was nice.
I loved that. I was like, wow, this is dope.
Yeah, receivership team again. They brought us, you know, they had to unban me. And in the unbanning, they're like,
So how long were you banned?
17 years.
17 years?
Yeah.
And you got unbanned this year because of the movie
because
dropping.
of the movie.
Wow.
Right. And that was a really funny conversation because they got to make that decision.
Yeah.
They could make the decision to keep me banned. That's an option. But if you unban me, it's going to be really fun for everybody.
100%.
Like,
You got to. You got to.
we can do tape art all over the mall. The model for the movie that Colin made is in the abandoned Tiffany's on the first floor still. We made that the ghost couch set in the showcase. And I go every Tuesday night for the 7 p.m. showing at Secret
Always
Mall
there.
Apartment for the Q&As. So every night I meet new people from Providence.
Beautiful.
Love it. I love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And talk about the creation. So closing off here,
Yeah.
the documentary, right?
Yes.
So directed by Jeremy.
Yep. Jeremy Workman.
Jerry Workman, right? He did a great job. Shout out to Jeremy. I've been in contact with Jeremy.
Yeah.
And Jesse Eisenberg, a producer.
Yes, he is. So
And how did that come to light? How did that even happen?
yeah. So Jesse Eisenberg, he's A-list, right? A-list
Yeah,
actor.
I would say so,
Yeah, I
man.
think
The
he
network,
is.
the social
I think he's
network is a
that guy.
huge, just with that alone.
Yeah, you got the Oscar nod for that.
Yeah, no, that alone is crazy.
Yeah, he's an incredible artist. Like the range of projects he's working on, the range
Yeah.
of movies is like super wonderful and super weird.
Yeah.
He's friends with Jeremy Workman.
Nice.
And so he briefly stayed at the 903 directly across the highway from the mall there when he was shooting a movie here. So he lived in Providence for a couple months.
Nice.
He got to experience the thrill of walking from the 903 to the mall and having no idea how to get into it. So he saw the movie and just fell in love with it. He's got a really interesting quirk, which is that for such a successful, awesome, smart, incredible human being, he just loves people who don't want to be famous.
Mm.
And so he watched the movie, and then we met each other, and then I'm in that wheelhouse.
Definitely
He's like, wow, you don't care at all. Wow. And he's built for it.
Yeah.
And this is why he's so successful, is that he's an absolute like laser beam on his artworks and on fame. And he has to be in order to get the projects that he wants. And I'm the opposite end of the spectrum where I'm like, well, nobody's watching me, so I guess I'll just work on this big thing over here.
Yeah.
He has been a great voice piece for this movie. He's been incredibly generous with his time and any opportunity he's had to sort of promote it. He's given us the shout outs that we need to sort of keep it in the public's imagination.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Workman, great filmmaker. He's done a whole bunch of films about artists. So he's got a really great knack for making films about really unusual people and making them accessible. So if you get a chance, you can hit him on IMDb. You can see his other works. He's got World Beneath Your Feet. Follows a guy who walked literally every single street of New York City. It's like 8,000 miles and all the boroughs.
Wow.
It took him 12 years.
Wow. So it was easy for him to do something with you then, because it's like in the wheelhouse of like, okay, this guy, very unique, dope, very weird, like stands out, like type of work. Like let's document this, like that. Okay, that makes sense then.
Right.
He has a resume in that kind of genre, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, fair enough. And we come to him with like a hard drive with
content.
Like we already have what effectively is a
that
movie
no one's ever seen.
That no one's ever seen. Right. So Jeremy Workman was the first one to put his eyes on all the footage.
Wow.
We had leaked some of it when the story broke in 2007, just to sort of give
proof
media outlets like a chance to tell the story.
Yeah.
But the rest of it just sat on this hard drive, and he got the hard drive, and in less than a day he called me. He's like, God damn, like you already shot a movie. Like you, like, this just needs to be like professionally handled at this point.
And he did a great job.
He did a great job.
I love it. And
yeah.
What's the plan now with it? Right now it's digitally. Do you see anything else coming from it? Or are you guys planning anything else? Obviously, you can't do a part 2 per se, but like, I feel like it was so good that I would love to see like what more life is it going to be added to it? What more are we going to get from it? If anything, some behind the scenes, some unseen footage, maybe like what's going to come?
That is going to be on the DVD.
Okay.
So in November, the DVD is going to come out. There'll be, there is a cut in the DVD, like 10 or 15 minutes of unseen footage.
Oh, I'm buying that. I'm buying that.
It's just a little cut that sort of gives you a little more perspective on things we're doing. There's a tape art mural, hopefully on the DVD. So it shows you like one big old mural that Jeremy shot the footage for.
Nice.
So the tape art teams that go out and make, I've done over 500 murals that are huge murals, and we have almost no documentation of us making them.
Crazy. We
finish them, and then we stand back and we go click, 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 done, and then we tear them down.
Crazy.
So all those works are super temporary. We have from Jeremy Workman 3 or 4 big murals on
footage.
On footage. So
wow.
There's enough there to sort of put together a tape art piece if we ever were motivated to do so.
You definitely should. Yeah. I feel like people need to see it, man. People need to see all that stuff. Like what you've done, in my opinion, is extremely significant. I think you're one of the most fascinating men, one of the most fascinating people to ever live in this state. What you've done is something that needs to be highlighted. It's very unique and stands out, and it's something that we see glimpses of internationally in Europe, New York, LA, bigger places, but it's right here in Rhode Island. Yeah. And I feel like, I know you don't love, the spotlight, the attention, etc. And I know a lot of artists tend to be that way, especially when they come from a good purpose and intention like you do, right? You're very selfless, but man, you deserve all the praise and accolades. I'm telling you right now, what you've done is something that is extremely, extremely impressive, man.
Man, that's really, really kind of you to say. And just know that, like, we do a lot of traveling. When I'm out there, I'm just always repping Providence. Like I sing the praises of the city all the time, and despite all of our struggles, it's still like I had the whole nation to choose from where I want to live, and without question, this is like
still here.
Yeah, absolutely,
still here.
I'm dug in.
So last message, last words to close out. If there's an artist out there in Providence, right, looking at this, up and coming, and they see you, right, the man that created the art piece of living inside of the mall. Super viral, super famous now, the story and the work you've done with tape art and etc. A legendary artist from Rhode Island. What is your piece of advice to them, right? They're looking at you and they want to create art and they feel like they need some motivation. What would that be for you with all your experience?
Yeah, I would say that what the movie helps highlight is that you don't need an audience to make great artwork. And therein lies one of the great paradoxes of the now, which is that my advice has always been rooted in this idea that make the artwork that you need to make. That find the mediums that move you and make work without being obsessed about how it's going to be received. And the paradox here is that social media and the algorithm, unfortunately, it touches and crushes dreams. The best example I can give is a couple years ago, we were going to sign a contract with the museum for a week-long residency, big murals, workshops, and right before we went to sign, they contacted us and they said, "Hey, we found your social media. What's going on?" I was like, "What do you mean what's going on?" Like, "You only have 300 followers on Instagram." It's like, "Yeah, like, we don't use social media." They're like, "Well, we can't sign you."
That's crazy.
And I was like, "What? Walk me through it. Why is that? Why is that your decision?" And he said, "Well, we are going to pay you decent money to come here and do this thing, and we need you to have at least 10,000 followers because we're investing in you, and therefore we need to know that money will be amplified."
Wow.
So there I am losing an opportunity because I didn't share my work. Therefore, I'm trapped in that space where I have to be concerned about how someone else perceives my artwork.
Insane.
And so this is where I end up giving good and bad advice simultaneously, where I'm like, don't be concerned about it. Simultaneously, we'll be concerned about it. Because this is I'll admit, it's a calculation I haven't cracked. And I'm committed to getting to 10,000, you know?
Oh, that would happen.
Yeah.
That'll happen in due time.
Because if I look at it through the lens of like, as an educator, as someone who, as a public artist, my mission has been to sort of inspire and teach people.
100%.
That's the platform in theory that I should be finding a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
And right now we're just a baby snowball, just slowly rolling. And I'm hoping as we pick up more people, we'll start to understand how to translate our voice into those spaces. And I don't know whether that will have an effect on my artwork. And so advice to people who are saying like, what advice would you give them is like, I'm in uncharted territories right now. I think my artwork is going to actually have to do some adapting because I still live in a like hyper analog space. Like I'm all caveman. I'm like, I draw a wall. Like that's my whole, that's it.
But I think it'll live on forever. Like through mediums
Yeah.
like this, you coming on here, us spotlighting it, you know, you being vulnerable enough to share the story, to be able to share, you know, the art and the process behind it can be awkward a lot for artists, but you're here doing it. I think that's a step in the right direction because in my opinion, you deserve 1 million followers. Like that shouldn't be, you know, the case, but it can and will happen in due time.
Yeah, we'll put the work in.
And I'll say this, consistent posting helps no matter what. So that if you build, even if it's like a daily or every 2 days, you know, people get used to it. I think that's something that can help you grow. And for now, if you guys are watching, follow them. What's the account?
Just tape art. You'll see
Tape art on Instagram.
You'll see that blue and green tape. You'll see things about the mall. You'll know you're in the right place.
Tape art.
I mean, this is the curse for artists now because we can see each other's artwork. And this is spooky stuff because if on the rare times I go on Instagram, within 10 minutes, I have a moment where I'm like, shit, that's really good. That artwork is blowing my mind. And
insecurity sets in.
And I'm a pretty secure artist.
Yeah.
And even I get jostled. I'm like, oh gosh, darn it. I have held on to a belief which has helped me through the years, which is that as an artist, I, during the course of my lifetime, will only be able to make so much art. And it is the responsibility of every other person on the planet to make the rest of the art that I can't make. So when I see something that's so awesome, I'm like, oh, thank God somebody made that.
Somebody did it, yeah.
Thank God somebody made that because it had to be made.
Yeah.
I don't have time to make that.
They did it.
They did it. That's awesome.
Like that, yeah.
It needs to be celebrated. But my responsibility still falls back on me to keep making my stuff. I can be inspired by it, but you can't let it, and this goes back to the thing is if you're like, they made that art for likes and they're getting money and likes because of that artwork, therefore I'm going to make artwork that looks like that, I would hold the opinion that is not a good route for you as an artist.
Yeah.
Don't emulate.
Yeah.
Be inspired. But don't chase the likes. Like you got to be yourself, and then just be savvy enough marketing wise to figure out how to grow your audiences.
Yeah. No, it's great advice. It's great advice. And like I said, a legendary man, legendary artist, in my opinion, one of the greatest, artists who ever exist and breathe on Rhode Island territory and Rhode Island air. This man came through. Let's give a round of applause for Michael Townsend for coming through. We appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honored to be here.
And no, listen, what you do is very awesome, and we definitely got to have you back on as your story continues, because I know that what you have done has only influenced a smidget of what's the snowball effect. Like, you're gonna have so much art that is inspired by you. I believe that's gonna live on forever and ever and ever. So
Hopefully.
appreciate you for what you're doing, man. Like, it's insane.
They gon' love me for my ambition.